Hello, everyone. I don't really see how many people there are yet, so I'm just going to wait for a couple of seconds yet, or still for everybody to come into the webinar. So hope you guys are all fine today, and thanks for joining already. Hope you hear me fine. If there is anything wrong, please let me know via the chat. Okay, we'll just kick it off, I think. So hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. Thanks so much for joining. I'm super excited to have you all here. Like always, we're going to discuss the Shopify Winter 2024 editions. The goal of today's webinar is to share the most exciting aspects of Shopify's huge feature release. So they came out with a lot of new features, as you probably all know. We're going to try and make it as concrete as possible because sometimes it's quite hard to scroll through the list of all the new features that Shopify has brought out. So let's try to make it as concrete as possible. It's needless to say that you guys can always interrupt me during the presentation. So please ask away. Normally you should have access to the chat. So please interact. Don't be shy. The chat is open. So you can always drop something if you have any questions. Paul was here. Up. Okay, so let's dive into it. So this is the docket that we have today. So this is the planning. First of all, we'll kick it off with a very short introduction from Dear Digital. And secondly, obviously, we will go through all of the different topics that we have selected for you today. I'll also share some personal insights about where I think that Shopify will be going towards. So please stay tuned. And again, if you have other views, please share them with me in the chat. Always nice to have a small discussion about some personal insights. We'll finish the webinar with 15 minutes of questions. So obviously we have some buffer, some questions that can be asked throughout the webinar. But if not, we can always have them at the end because we have some time for that as well. So a quick introduction to Dear Digital itself. So we're a technical e-commerce agency. We focus on platforms such as Shopify, Odoo, Klaviyo, Gadget, Firmhouse. Our focus is to stand on the shoulders of giants that allow us to take brands further and to do as little as possible of the boring and repetitive work so that we can try to add as much value as possible for our merchants. So this is basically what we aspire to do. And this is also why we use the technologies that you see in front of you. So here are some of the services that we offer. You probably know all of them, but it's just nice to share. I have a little overview of what we do. Then we are obviously a growing team. It has been awesome to see everybody together or coming together in the last couple of years. And we're very proud of being a multicultural team that relentlessly shows up every single day to face the challenges that we love to engage with. So this is really amazing to see the team coming together over the last couple of years. Then obviously, some of the wonderful brands that we have worked together with and have the honor to work with, all power to them, obviously, because without them, there is no existence for us. So yeah, awesome companies that we love to work together with. So yeah, I'm the expert for you today. So I will be going through the webinar with you. Obviously in the back end, there is Emil joining me, our content marketeer, who will try to set up everything so that everything goes right. I'm one of the co-founders of Dear Digital. I'm the technical lead within the Shopify business unit. So yeah, let's kick it off together, I would say. So here are all the topics, quite a lot of things that we should discuss. We'll try to make it as concrete as possible because maybe the things on the screen don't say you that much. Maybe also interesting is that, the Winter 24 editions, the name of it was Foundations, which is quite interesting because you could say like Shopify has already been around for a couple of years, but still they're working on foundations. That might sound a bit bizarre. On the other hand, personally, I think that they wanted to make the claim that they want to reinvent things from scratch from time to time, which is obviously very interesting. If you make a lot of code, then you want to make sure that old code gets deleted and you reinvent certain things. Also, Shopify is evolving rapidly, so it makes a lot of sense to maybe revisit your foundations. So I think that that is also the signal that they wanted to give. And I think that the signal there was also, okay, maybe we just get started and there is a long way to go in front of us. So I think that this means, or this was what they wanted to say with the foundations topic of the Winter 2024 editions. So we're going to go over products and variants, semantic search, huge, interesting topic, performance metrics, nested theme blocks, maybe a bit of a boring one, but a super interesting one. Then store credits, checkout extensions. This is a topic that comes back again and again. Last webinar that we did was specifically about checkout extensions. But now in the new release, there are some new APIs that are available. So it's even more relevant to all the brands. Then Shopify Flow, about automation, extremely important. It's sometimes something that gets that is forgotten by a lot of merchants and also maybe by agencies. But there is so much that can be automated with Shopify Flow, and it's getting more and more interesting. Then new B2B releases, also very interesting for sure, and we're going to touch on some topics there as well. Then, as our good friend Harvey, the president of Shopify, very colorful figure that I would surely try to follow on social media. He says, because the greatest things ever are built with incredible foundations, this is why he called, together with his teammates, the 2024 edition, the winter edition, the foundations model. Then, yeah, just to make sure that we're all aligned, so there are 2 releases every single year of new Shopify features. So there is the winter edition and there is the summer edition. So we will be back, obviously, for the summer edition, hopefully with all of you as well, in good health. And I'm already looking forward to it for sure, because it will be buzzing again in a couple of months when Shopify releases their new features. So let's dive into it. Products and variants. It's a big topic to start with. Obviously, Shopify is all about e-commerce. E-commerce is all about selling products. And so the product model, the product data model that underlies Shopify is obviously quite important to the company and to the platform. But they're rebuilding a big part of it, actually. So this is, again, foundations, right? They're trying to rebuild the foundations. And so, yeah, there are big changes coming to the products and the variants side of things. So some of you might have been impacted by this before, but before we actually only had the option to have 100 variants for a product, and you could only select 3 options. So this was a big limitations for a lot of merchants that couldn't add more than 100 variants. And there were obviously a lot of different ways to try and circumnavigate that issue. But Shopify now, yeah, just said we're going to rebuild it from scratch. Our product data model is old. Let's throw it out and let's start again. And so the new numbers are quite amazing if you compare them to the 100 variant limit that we had before, because now we're going to have the option to have 2,000 variants per product. It's obviously a foundational upgrade, and it also points towards the fact that Shopify wants to be able to power more complex catalogs, which is obviously what we want Shopify to move towards. So this is a big one. It can be understated how important this is, and also how hard this must be for Shopify to do this with so many merchants on their platform to switch their most foundational product data model, basically. Another huge one is the combined listing app. This has also to do with products and variants. You might have seen this. This is only on Shopify Plus, but it's quite amazing what it can do. Because it will probably change a lot, and it will be a small aha moment, I think, for a lot of people, that this is something that is changing. I now see, hopefully you guys see it as well, because I don't see it on my screen. But this is more or less what it is. It's different products that are actually joined together as variants. So it is a product in the backend of Shopify. So it's not a variant of a product, but you can actually select different products so that they become part of a structure that is actually not a product, right? But it's like a combination of products. And this is obviously a big change. Why? Because mostly, or the first thing that comes to mind, obviously, is if you have different products that you join together and you don't use the variant way of adding products, or variants. Then you have actually URLs per product. So all of the different products that you join together into one product model, they all have their separate URLs. This means that they all have their separate SEO authority, which could be interesting because imagine that you have, I'm going to give an example, different colors, and that people really search for a blue t-shirt, for example, a blue cashmere or cotton t-shirt. Then you actually want to make sure that you can add those keywords, blue cotton t-shirt, in the SEO description, and that specific product comes up in Google because you know that they're actually already looking for a blue t-shirt, right? Normally, this was not possible before because you could only add your SEO description to the mother product, but this was not the blue t-shirt because it was the variant that had the blue property. So this is a big change. It's also very easy to just select all of the different products, join them into one big product, and you have all of the aspects right there. So URLs per product, which impacts the SEO, obviously, but also, and I don't know if a lot of people will understand this, I do think that will be the case. But before you actually had a product and then variants underneath it, you added a lot of images on the product itself, and then you could only select one image for the variant that you added to that product. But this meant that you actually only had one product image per variant. Now, because you actually drag it to a level up, you actually have a whole carousel of images that you can add to your product and thus also to your variant, because we use products in this case as a variant. So you have a whole carousel of images specifically tailored to that specific variant. Also, super important to mention is that in the front end, this is all for the customers. This is all very very straightforward. So you just have all the URLs, and actually the front end makes sure that all of the products are shown together with swatches, with different sizes, etc. So it looks like it's implemented as a variant, but actually it's different products in the backend, but all set up very easily, so to say. Huge one, semantic search. So a lot of people will probably be using the Search and Discovery app. The Search and Discovery app is a native Shopify app that you can use with a lot of different things for filtering, for search, obviously, but also for upsells and cross-sells, if you link certain products together, etc., or for in your cart or in your checkout or on the product pages itself. But Search and Discovery, this is also a Shopify Plus specific app, now has the option to add semantic search. Now, I will explain what semantic search actually is, but why is this so important? It's because semantic search makes sure that you listen towards the customer's intent. So normally, when you were searching on a Shopify website, it's more or less keyword matching, right? So you added, I want to buy a t-shirt, and then you saw all of the t-shirts on the Shopify website. But if you said, I want to buy something for summer, for example, which could be the intent of a buyer, right? Because maybe it's not that specific already at that specific point in time, then you actually capture the intent of the buyer better. And in the old model, the search wouldn't give you something back because it was not clear enough what you were looking for. And this is where semantic search comes in. So I'll show an example as well afterwards. But imagine, again, that you have a query of a customer that says, I want to buy something warm for winter. Again, normally you wouldn't be able to get back some specific answers from the search bar. But now, because of semantic search, you can actually do this. And I just tried to plot it. I hope this is not more confusing than it is clear. But basically, what is happening here is kind of an AI way of thinking about this, is that you actually put all of the data into a number, which is a vector here on the screen. And all of the things that are close by the topic of the question that you asked, namely something warm for winter, all of the products and the product descriptions and the images are then put into vectors. And all of the things that have a similar meaning will be close to the vectorized question that you asked. So for example, something for winter, then you will actually see that in the vector space, that blog posts such as what to wear during skiing or a puffy jacket or a beanie will be very close to the vector of the question. And so then you can actually return the products or the blog posts that are close to the intent of what the buyer is asking. So you really understand the question better in terms of just saying, I will match the keywords that the customer has put in to the search bar, which is quite huge. So I mean, you really check the meaning, you really try to understand the question of the customer, so you are able to help the customer better. So it's intent focused. So this is what it is more or less. So something warm for winter, and then you actually get the beanie, you get a warm jacket, you get a warm whatever trouser, which is quite interesting and a big change for customer experiences. So why is this important to you? People are just very used to getting those type of answers because Google has been using semantic search. For example, Google has been using semantic search for a while. So people get they get acquainted with making sure or with getting great answers based on a rather broad topic that they add to the search bar of Google. So making sure that the user experience doesn't break, or that you also give them a user experience that is close to something that they're used to, makes a lot of sense on your e-commerce website. So this is why semantic search could be so big. Then the flywheel that I personally think about when I think about semantic search and how big it can be for merchants and for customers, because it's a better search experience. There are more search interactions from a single person because they love the feedback that they get. They love the answers that they get. So you get more analytics about what people are looking for, what intent people are getting. And so you can learn that much more about what the customer actually is looking for, or how he queries your website, or how he sees your brand. And so this is kind of a flywheel, because the better that experience is, the more people will use it, the more data you get out of it. So the more that you can actually tailor the website to that specific customer or to customers as a whole. Maybe you can even understand which new products you can bring out, because if a lot of people are looking for what should I wear in winter, or I want warm stuff to wear in winter, then you can maybe add another product to your product catalog that is specifically for warm or cold conditions, so to say. So this is quite a big. Then performance metrics. Obviously, I love performance. It's a topic that I spent quite a lot of time on. We did a lot of work here already within Dear Digital to try and understand performance way better. One of the things that come up, and I hope you guys already know this term, is when you think about performance, it's all about core web vitals. So it's metrics from Google. They're called core web vitals that you actually have to look at to make sure to understand how the user experiences are for your customer. Before, I don't know if you still remember, and I should have put in a little screenshot in the presentation as well, but you had a store health score, I think, from Shopify, and it just gave you one number. So for example, your store got 25 as a health score, and then it said, you're performing better or worse than other similar stores. But you didn't really have a lot of additional data. This was just one data point. You didn't really know where it came from. It was a agglomeration of a lot of different topics and a lot of different numbers. But you didn't know what was specifically going wrong, what was low-hanging fruit, which things you needed to focus on. So now actually Shopify made sure that core web vitals are included into the standard dashboards of your Shopify store, which is really great. So this is how it will look, or how it looks already. The core web vitals are the three things that you see in the top of this image. So it's largest contentful paint, its first input delay, and its cumulative layout shift. So these are the core web vitals. So the three core web vitals that that Google has put forward. It's going to change because the first input delay will be interchanged by the interaction to next paint. But these show the real user monitoring. So this is not a Lightspeed score. It's not the random score that Shopify used to give before. It's really based on what experiences people really had on your website. So it's real user data that is measured, and that you get scores from in these 3 metrics. And then this is how you then can see, okay, what should I focus on? Is it my largest contentful paint? So should I look at my images, my videos that are being loaded? Maybe they are too big. Maybe that's the issue. And so the largest contentful paint, I will not go into detail about the 3 metrics because I can take a lot of time to discuss those. But it's just important for you to understand that now you have more granular data that will be more actionable, so that there is bigger impact of the change. You need less tools because normally, yeah, okay, maybe you got the 20 score from Shopify, but then you had to check out a lot of different tools to make sure that you understood what the issue actually was. But now it's all there in the admin panel of Shopify, which is great. Obviously, if you want to go even further and you want to dig deeper into those core web vitals, there are a lot of awesome tools such as Rumvision to make sure that you can understand the issues even better than this platform or than what you see here in front of you that you will have in Shopify. But this is already a great start. So yeah, so core web vitals also impact your SEO. So just for the merchants out there, it's extremely important that your core web vitals actually all are passed, so that you pass all of the core web vitals, because there are scores that you need to go for all of these 3 metrics. Because those impact your SEO. And obviously there are a lot of things that we do. We spend a lot of money to try and make sure that we're up there in the Google listings. We also spend a lot of money on performance, advertisement. And the better your core web vitals are, the better your ad scores will be, and the better you will score SEO-wise. Because if you don't have good core web vitals, then you will be penalized by Google, and you will be lower in the list in the search engine result pages. So it is super important. So yeah, if you put a lot of time and effort, which you probably do, into marketing, then you should really consider looking at your core web vitals, because it's super important. Okay, then this is quite a big topic. I hope that it will be interesting. It sounds a bit boring, but it's actually extremely relevant for the merchants out there and for the teams within the merchants, because this actually shows where Shopify is going towards with their online store. This is the tip of the iceberg that shows where Shopify will be going towards in terms of no-code and low-code adjustments to your store. So it's a bit theoretical, but I try to sketch it as well as possible. And if you understand this, then you kind of understand also where Shopify is going towards, which is quite the shift, to be really honest. So this is a really important topic. So just to get the basics right, probably a lot of you will know if you have checked the online store before in your Shopify environment. So you have on the left side, you have the column that shows all of the different sections and blocks that you have on your website. On the right side, you can see a preview of the website. So basically, a section is what you see on the left in green and on the right in green. And then a block is a specific part that you can add to your section, right? So before, the thing was that a block was actually part of a specific section, and you couldn't reuse a block that you made for a specific section in another type of section. If you wanted to use that similar block in another section, you had to create the block again within the other section. So there was no composability from a block perspective within sections. And this is now changing. Again, a huge change. So basically, blocks, you should think about them as the smallest Lego blocks that you have within your team. It's like a button, or it's like a text part or a paragraph. It's like an image, it's like a column, etc. Those are all blocks because you put a section together based on blocks, right? So this is an important, And then here you see a little video. Here you see it in action. So you add a column, you add an image to that column. That's another block. You add a text to that column. You add a button to that column, all blocks, and it's all super flexible. You add another column, you add the same blocks to that next column. You switch the columns around, you switch the blocks around within the section or within the column. So it's extremely flexible. Okay. So what are they? Blocks is reusable components that you can use everywhere throughout the store, that you can drag and drop like you want, so extreme flexibility. And you can nest the blocks to 8 levels deep. So you can say, I want a section, and in that section, I have different columns. And in that column, I want a text field or another column. And in that column, I want a button. And you can go back and forth and go really, really deep. So this is just to show how flexible the online store 2.0 will get because of these changes. So if we then have a look at the future, like I said before, this is only the tip of the iceberg, or at least from what I've read or what I think. This is also something that I read in articles. So if you look at the next 12 months, then they're working towards a new online store editor experience. They're investing massively into this. So again, this is the tip of the iceberg. Low code and no code changes are coming for sure to online store 2.0. So if you then take a step back and you rewind a bit, meta fields and meta objects came into play, I think last year, right? Made sure that you had a content model that you could switch around and that you had complete freedom with, because now you can create whatever kind of meta objects that you want or that you need. So you're not bound anymore by the content model that Shopify chose for you. So you have a lot of freedom there. You can create whatever object you want. Then within the online store, and I will show some screenshots of that as well. Within the online store, you will be able to change your styling. You will have flexibility around borders, fonts, colors, etc. Then you have the theme blocks that will now be reusable in every single section that you want it to be part of. You can do conditional rendering of certain blocks, because you could say, okay, I have actually in this column, I have 2 image blocks, but one image I want to render for people that have more than 5 sales as a customer, and the other block I want to render if you're a new customer, for example. So all of these kinds of rules will be able to be implemented on a block level in the future, which is going to be insane for customization and for personalization of the website. And then there is powerful drag and drop. So you can just take blocks, drag them somewhere else, and just switch things around. So to make that a bit more concrete, this is how it will look. You can, at the right side, you can see that you can switch images or columns around. So you can choose the width of a certain column. And then on the left, you can see that you can actually switch blocks around to go more to the top or to the bottom. Then something else here is the fonts and the other flexibility that you have in terms of borders and colors. So you can just select a specific block or select a specific button and say, okay, I want the rounding to be this and that. Obviously, we don't want themes to look a bit shaky and weird, because you can change a block and a button on this specific page, but not on other pages, right? So probably there will be a lot of design thinking that will be involved in this, because freedom is great, but too much freedom is not good. So it will be interesting to see where the exact balance should lie. And then here you actually see the content models. So for example, the meta objects that you can create and that you can suck into the block setup that you have. And so you can create based on meta object. You create all of these different parts, right? So you have a paragraph, you have an image, and then you actually sync it to a section in your online store 2.0. And then again, you can switch it around and make the page as you want. So again, great flexibility coming to online store 2.0. And there will be a lot of changes in the next couple of months. Then an interesting one, store credit. It's something that we hear often from customers. That they want flexibility around if a return happens, then instead of giving the money back, you can maybe give it back as store credit, so that people can come back to the store because they still have store credit open. So this is something that we see a lot. It's trying to increase the lifetime value of a customer, trying to make sure that the customer retention goes up. Store credit is a great tool to do it, and it became more flexible. So here is just a little video. So you can see on a customer level what the store credit is. You can actually select it as a payment method, and then it will get deducted from the complete price in the checkout. So it's really native. It's woven into the experience of the customer. It's woven into the experience of the admin. You will be able to see how much store credit is still there, and so on and so on. So this is a big topic that I think a lot of customers will really love, to try and make sure that the customer stays with your brand, and repurchases, yeah, because they still have the store credit open. Cool. So this is what I said before, increased customer loyalty. Yeah, you can track issues, you can track reports of all the store credit that is still open from the admin itself. Yeah, you can see all of the store credits for different customers, and obviously you can expire the credit as well if need be. Cool. Maybe I just paused because I went in kind of a frenzy, but it's a bit weird. I'm alone in this room. I don't really see other people that have joined. So please, again, don't be afraid to just send a little message in the chat. I'm obviously open to questions. So please interrupt me when you have any questions. Cool. Then the next topic, hugely important one. I did a webinar about this a couple of weeks ago. Checkout extensions. When will those features be available? So good question. So if you are talking about store credit, I think this will be rolled out in the next couple of weeks. There is the notion of store credits already, but now it became even more broad, with new API access. So you can now have, yeah, it's better for custom apps or for public apps that want to tap into this store credits. And I think that this is live in preview already, in dev preview. So it will be live probably in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully that's an answer to your question. And thanks a lot for asking a question. Awesome. We can get some interactions going here. Love it. So in terms of checkout extensions, again, 14 new APIs and UI components have been added since the Winter 2024 editions. So checkout extensions are extremely powerful. You can change your checkout basically as you want. Obviously, there are still some things, as they are still developing new features, that are about to change, but already at this point in time, the flexibility is quite amazing. So within your checkout, you can change your branding. So you can change how it looks. You can add additional fields. We will go over the details later. But so it's getting even more powerful after the 2024 edition, Winter 2024 edition. So I think more or less everything that you dream of at this point in time in checkout, is available. Again, obviously there are some edge cases, and maybe some frustrating ones as well, but a lot of is possible already. So yeah, this is an overview of all the different checkout extensions. So you have UI extensions, GraphQL admin APIs for your branding, so you can change how it feels and how it looks. Shopify functions, obviously, for adding specific functions, such as a specific discounting flow or discounting combinations, etc. Post-purchase checkout. So you can now, indeed, on the post-purchase pages, actually even create a page in between the thank you page, and the checkout page, to upsell or to cross-sell, or to make sure that you can view your points that you have added, or that you have new store credit. I mean, all of those things are possible. So that's with the post-purchase checkout extensions. And then obviously for the analytics people, there is the web pixel app extensions. These are also actually really increasing in terms of strength. So there is a lot of changes around the web pixels so that you can really measure throughout the website in a very good and thorough way. These are some examples. I think I mentioned some of them before. So upsells, you can add surveys, feedback requests, discount offers, loyalty signups, important notifications that you want to share in the cart, depending on certain products that you added to cart, or depending on specific combinations of products that you have in cart or in checkout. So these are all possible. Some examples, here, obviously, you might also like section. It's a classic one, an upsell in the checkout, but it's now possible. I mean, it was possible before. Additional input fields in checkout flexibility is there. Like I said, custom banners depending on some products that you have added to the checkout to make sure that you can add all of the information that is necessary for your customer to understand what they are buying. Then a survey that you could add to the thank you page or other post-purchase pages to hear how customers got to your store. For example, if you sell alcohol, you want to make sure that people don't buy under a certain age. So this is also possible with a validation. Then this is an overview of all the different kinds of checkout extensions. It's a bit boring. We'll send you the slides. I mean, not boring for me, but maybe boring for you guys. We will send the presentation for sure, so you can have a look into this. But these are basically all of the different extension tools, and you link them towards certain things that you can do with those extensions. Then here a little overview, because there are obviously awesome public apps that make use of all the extensions that I just mentioned. And if you need some custom specific work, then you probably, for some of the extensions, you need to be on Plus to make sure that you can use those extensions. But for the public apps, there is a lot possible already. So for sure, check out the public apps. There are amazing public apps out there that you can test things around with. Again, we're standing on the shoulders of giants. We try to add as much value as possible. If the value is out there already and we can just add it with a click of a button, let's try it, right? So important to also check the public apps. Then Shopify Flow. I personally call it the hidden gem because not a lot of people think about it. Not a lot of people know what the real capabilities are of Shopify Flow. But there are so many things that you can automate. So Shopify Flow is all about automation. So automate. But so if you are thinking about a specific task, if you are thinking about something that goes wrong with certain orders, asks a lot of importance or time from your customer service team, chances are that you can actually automate it with Shopify Flow. So think about Shopify Flow more would be my message here. And so here are a couple of things that have changed since the Winter 2024 edition. So you can run code within Shopify Flow. So normally before, you just had the option to click on certain things that were predefined by Shopify Flow. But now you can actually run code. So basically, you can do whatever you want, right? I will give a little example later on. No, I have an example that I want to give now, and I have another example that I will give in the next slide. But so for running code, for example, you could say, and this is an issue that a lot of brands have in Belgium and the Netherlands, you could say, like, if the order has a shipping address that doesn't contain a house number, then we put that order on not deliverable for a while. So we pause the order. We make sure that it's not sent to the 3PL, for example. We send a message to the customer service desk to try and make sure if the customer has a house number, yes or no, or you can send even a message to the customer itself automatically to say, are you sure that you don't have a house number? And then the customer service can follow up when they go through all of the orders that are put on not deliverable or no house number, for example. Then you can filter on the tag no house number, and then you can see if the issue is really specifically due to no house numbers. Then you can check your inbox to see if there is a house number that the customer has sent you. And then if things are well, you edit the house number and you can put the ticket or the order on delivered or deliverable. So this is a little example that I just gave, but I mean, I'm just trying to give examples to make sure that you come up with things in your mind as well, because you have specific issues probably. So those are all possible. Now you can even code within Shopify Flow. It's quite amazing. Triggers will get a bit more complex or possibilities to have more complex data structures within them. So before it was a bit more basic, but now you can get lists and stuff within the data structures that you use within Shopify Flow. And this is really amazing, in Q3, so this is not about the winter editions anymore, but this will be about the summer editions that we hopefully meet again on in a couple of months. You will have the option to talk to external APIs. So just a little example here. Imagine You have the fifth, so customer ordered the fifth time, you can do that via flow. So check out all of the customers that have a fifth order. You can extract all the products that the customer has bought already, the amount of money that they spent. You can send all of this data to OpenAI, for example, to an LLM. Based on the purchase history, you can try to make sure that the LLM gives you something back in terms of, oh, if this customer has bought this, and this product, maybe they're also interested in this, and that product. Let them make an email with those specific products in it and send it to the Klaviyo API. Personally, I think that Klaviyo now with the Klaviyo AI tools has made something like this. But again, just to give you an example of what will be possible with the fact that Shopify Flow will be able to tap into external APIs, which is going to be rather awesome. Cool. We have more or less 4 minutes left. Not to stress anyone out. You can ask the questions that you want to ask, but I just am now going to still go over the last point, which is going to be B2B and enterprise specific features, more or less, because Shopify is quite aggressively moving into that space as well. So it's very important to us as an agency, but it's also very important for you as a merchant to understand that Shopify is moving in that direction, because there is a lot of information to be checked there to understand again where Shopify might be going. Obviously, this is a huge potential for them because B2B e-commerce is huge as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they will be moving in that space. The Adyen partnership, actually next Monday, so in a couple of days, there is also a big happening with Shopify and Adyen that I will be going to as well. So probably I will have some more information then as well. But what you saw actually in the last couple of years is that Shopify pushed Shopify payments more and more. For some merchants, this was not really the right way to go. I think especially for bigger merchants, they maybe wanted their own solution, etc. And so now actually Shopify is getting a bit more open again with this move towards the Adyen partnership to make sure that for enterprises, they don't really get back and say, oh, if I'm pushed towards a certain payment platform, then I'm not really interested in Shopify. So it's a big move actually towards opening up the doors to partnerships with other payment platforms that could be in the realm of bigger enterprise deals. So this is quite big. So let's see what they have to say about this in the next couple of weeks and months. There are B2B optimized themes. This is huge. Again, it shows that they're really trying to move into that market. So if you have a B2B store on Magento, on WooCommerce, on whatever, chances are that you now have quite an easy canvas to start on top of to offer your B2B e-commerce services or products to the customer. So this is quite big. No starting from a D2C kind of focused theme to just rebuild it in a B2B way. No, there are just themes that are specifically focused on B2B e-commerce that will be just a massive change into how long it takes to build your theme specifically for B2B purposes. So this is quite huge. Custom discounts for B2B, so you can now make sure that B2B customers on your store have access to specific discounts focused on B2B customers, so that those discounts are not available to the B2C customers, for example. So this is something that has changed as well, again, to make sure that you can create specific experiences for the B2B customers that are relevant to them and not really relevant to, or might not be relevant to the D2C customer or the direct-to-consumer customer. Record partial payments. It's something that we have come across already. If you start selling like cars or bicycles, etc. on Shopify, you want maybe that people already gave a certain amount of money in the store and then have to pay the other part in another way, or make sure that they only pay a part when they order and then get the rest of the payment when the shipment will be done. So this is, again, a huge move if you walk towards more specific e-commerce experiences that are not like, I'm just going to buy coffee and I give you 20 euros, you give me back the coffee. If it's a bigger product that costs more money, there are specific payment flows that are needed. And so Shopify is trying to support those as well. Digital products, a big one as well. A lot of B2B customers, but also D2C customers, merchants, they want to make sure that there is different kinds of products that they can sell. Maybe there are downloads or warranties that you want to subscribe to. So this is going to be part of the B2B focus there as well. Inventory locations for regional marketplaces. I don't think that this is specifically B2B or enterprise, but it's just when you get into more specific technical challenges or specific flows, you can now make sure that a regional marketplace such as Amazon France or Amazon Netherlands, that we are only having a specific location for those specific regional marketplaces. So your inventory really is part of a location in Shopify, and you can make sure that you can only fulfill from that specific location, so that it's more tight and that you don't sell inventory from other locations to marketplaces where that inventory is not part of. Match inventory to markets. This is also a huge one. So imagine that you now have one store, because before you actually had different stores, maybe expansion stores in different areas. Because you had different warehouses, for example, then the markets setup came to Shopify, but you didn't really have a very good way to say, okay, but if the customer is from the US, I'm actually shipping from this location only, and you couldn't really match the location to the inventory location, because maybe they bought from another location because Shopify thought that you could also fulfill from that other location. Now you can really match the inventory to specific markets so that you don't oversell in a specific market. Okay, that was actually it. We have 13 minutes to go, and I'm at my last slides. So you can join us. Obviously, we have the Ecom Club that we call it. We organize summits, podcasts, roundtables. So it's a lot of fun. You can join it online so that you get updates around things that we do physically or online. So you can always have a look what the next things could be. Plans for Q2, yeah, that's maybe interesting, and I'm quite excited about this. Interesting to share. So in Q2, we will do some new, and I see that we have 2 Q2s here on the slides. I'm sorry for that. So what we're going to focus on in Q2 is conversational commerce. So I think AI is kind of the buzzword these days. But Michiel and myself, we actually really spent a lot of time a couple of weeks ago to try and build an application ourselves to make sure that, in a conversational way, you get information from the merchant that is interesting to you, from blog posts and from general information that there is to be seen on the website, but also a specific product related information. So we kind of built a conversational tool where that is really just nice to interact with, I guess. And so we will spend some time in Q2 to try to go over what we built, how we can make it better in the future, and try to get as much feedback from the customers or from the merchants or the community out there to make sure that what we are doing is in the right path. So it will be very exciting to share how we see conversational commerce based on LLMs and other tools. So this will be on the docket for Q2. Now it's survey time. So you can actually answer some questions about this webinar, about specific questions that you might have, about specific tools that you may be using. But obviously you can also ask any questions that you want at this point in time. But I'll just give you some time to fill in the survey. But like I said, if you have questions, fire away. And obviously, while some of you might be filling in the survey, you can always reach out to me via sam@deardigital.com, or you can also find me on LinkedIn, obviously. if you just type in my name, you'll find me, hopefully, for sure. Cool. Are there any questions from someone? Any topic you still want to discuss, or something that was unclear? Also, feedback is more than welcome. Sometimes it's hard to understand what is good and what is not good if you're just in a room alone. So feedback is always welcome. Cool. I think when there are no questions anymore, we can turn it off. But if there are any questions, because we more or less have 10 minutes left, please ask me. Okay, I'll switch it off. I'm so thankful that everybody came, or that you came. So thanks a lot for joining. Wishing you a beautiful day or evening, and hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Thanks.